let's get started. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It's really great to see you guys here and to have you guys all here for our Dosing 201 class today. Feel free during today's class to drop any questions that you might have about the slides that I'm presenting, about blends that you have in hand, about herbs in general, and of course about our subject matter today. You can pop those right into the group chat if you'd like. And either myself or our moderator, Michaela, who is here with us, she will be helping out, also answering your questions in the chat box as well. So I just wanted to start off by introducing myself and going over today's agenda. So my name is Taylor Appel. I'm the clinical herbalist here at Apothecary and educator. And I'm truly just passionate about bridging really the gap between utilizing herbal medicine and functional foods as therapeutic ways to really heal our bodies and help us along our health journeys. So as I said, I'm a clinical herbalist registered with the American Herbalist Guild, as well as pursuing a master's degree in functional nutrition. I also offer one-on-one consultations that you can book through our website, and I'll have Michaela pop the link over in our chat so you can learn more about our consultation offerings. Specifically, I offer one-on-one guidance to help you understand your dietary needs and how to integrate your herbal formulas into your day-to-day routines in a sustainable way. So as I said, today's agenda, my introduction, we'll have our presentation, all about prenatal and postpartum nutrition. I'll open it up to some questions and comments that you guys have about our presentation here. And then of course, I'll have some closing remarks, including a discount code, just thanking you guys for joining us today. So to start off, I wanted to start off, of course, overarching, going over what prenatal and postpartum nutrition and this time of life really is. And I did want to also start with just a general statement that this time of life really is unique to each individual. And by no means the recommendations that I'm giving you are any type of medical advice. This is just nutritionally and by the research, what our bodies could use extra support in. And these are just some ways that I see and some foods that I see really fit into the prenatal and postpartum nutrition guidelines. So to start out, like I said, I'd love for us to just understand what this period entails. And of course, we have to start out by acknowledging the amount of dramatic changes that really happen to the body during this period of time. So during pregnancy, a woman's body is actually going through, as I said, these enormous changes. You can gain weight, 25, 30 pounds or more in some instances, depending on your body's needs. Again, this is a very individualized process. So as I said, other changes that can occur, as you can see, a woman's blood volume goes up by almost 50% while she's pregnant. So it's no shocker that after giving birth, our body's nutritional needs drastically also need some help so that we can recover more efficiently from that birthing process as well. So just as having the appropriate nutrition during the growth and development of the baby in that prenatal process is so important, to prevent diseases like gestational diabetes, preeclampsia, preterm birth, and those types of things. The postpartum time also comes with its own extreme nutritional needs. So the mother can really, provide for their baby, have the energy to be there, have the energy also and nutrition to breastfeed as well if they're able. So these are all things that go into the consideration of postpartum and prenatal nutrition. Ooh, so sorry. So let's start out with general guidelines. So I say general, very lightly, because again, every woman's body is going to have its individualized needs to ensure that they're adequately nourished during their pregnancy and after the birthing process. So again, you should always discuss your needs with your doctor, make sure you're having routine blood work done if that's what you're choosing to do, just to make sure that you are adequately nourishing yourself so that you can have a healthy pregnancy and birthing process. So I wanted to start out by top priorities before we dive into really kind of those key guidelines. So really the top priority is eating enough. So we really need to be eating enough nutrients, and nutrient dense whole foods is really, really key and top priority. So real foods that provide a variety of nutrients, such as like high quality meats and animal proteins, wild seafood and shellfish, bone broths, eggs. I love fruits and produce, of course. Tropical fruits also offer kind of those added benefits, as well as those dark leafy greens and root vegetables. But again, we want to be mindful of the digestive process during this time as well, specifically both during pregnancy and the postpartum period. So we want to be making sure that we're eating foods that are easy to digest, so that our resources are really being allocated toward the reparation of our bodies and the replenishing of our nutrients, rather than focusing on digesting things like raw vegetables and raw things. So think about cooked foods, easy to digest, broths, things like that. Also reducing, artificial ingredient intake is always something great to be mindful of. And just emphasizing again that quality really, really matters. So moving on to kind of the more general guidelines that we have set in place for this time of life. So of course, we want to be filling our plate with a rainbow of fruits and vegetables, because those are really going to provide us those phytonutrients, those antioxidants, those key minerals and vitamins that we need in order to have appropriate fetal development and growth. We want to be choosing some whole grains. Sprouted or fermented is going to be easier on the digestive system. So just remembering that these are great options to choose if you are someone that can eat grains. Consuming things like seaweed and high quality iodized salt is very important for iodine levels, which is important for our thyroid function. So our thyroid, of course, is so intimately involved in hormone levels, and hormone levels, of course, are involved in pregnancy and the postpartum time. So making sure that we are keeping up with our thyroid health as well is really, really key. Avoiding processed foods, refined carbohydrates. I'm really not a fan of seed oils as well. That's going to be your canola, your sunflower oils. Those are very high they're very inflammatory. So I'd rather people be using coconut, olive oil, avocado oil, grass-fed butter, ghee, those types of fats. But fat is definitely crucial in a prenatal and postpartum diet. Actually, the breast milk, cholesterol makes up really important components of breast milk. And breast milk itself is about 50 to 60% fat. So we really need to be mindful of our fat intake during this time. And it really is not a time for wanting to lose weight or stay in your same physique, because our bodies are meant to change and transform and be very adaptive during this time. So gaining that extra weight is crucial to the proper development, of course, and delivery process of having a child. And another note that I have on here, of course, if you are choosing to be plant-based, that is completely fine, but just making sure that you are keeping up with your vitamins and minerals, making sure you get your levels checked, making sure you're checking in with your practitioner and ways that you can supplement so that you are hitting those levels and those appropriate recommended daily needs. So next, I want to just highlight a couple key nutrients that I definitely think deserve their own recognition during the prenatal and postpartum period, just because they are just so vital for proper nutrition during this time. So choline, I'm sure we've all heard this before going into pregnancy. Choline is very important for not only the development of our nervous system, the spinal cord, the brain, but also the way that our genes express in the body is very much impacted by choline. So this can be very beneficial for the mother and for the baby. There's been studies around the emotional levels of mothers post and the postpartum period, being supported by choline as well as B vitamins. As we know, those are very supportive for our nervous system as well. So some sources of choline, of course, eggs, they're going to be great, very bioavailable, especially the egg yolks. Beef, chicken, seafood, liver and organ meats, I love. Making them into pâtés and dips, or even taking them as capsules is a great way to replenish the body during the prenatal and postpartum time. Beans and legumes, potatoes, and of course, dairy products. And I really love to give cottage cheese a shout out because it's high protein and also a great source of choline, as well as so many other vital nutrients that we need during this time. So next is vitamin D. So vitamin D, a lot of people think, it's great for our immune system health, and that is absolutely true. But vitamin D is actually essential for proper hormonal balance in the body as well. So it's even referred to in some instances as acting like a hormone itself in the body because of how critical it is for many metabolic and cellular processes. Research also shows that vitamin D supplementation may help with postpartum hair loss as well. So instead of supplements, I really do like to lean on whole foods. That's just one of my general philosophies. So when you can get your whole food vitamin D sources in there, even though there are very few. So getting the sun onto your skin is really critical for getting those vitamin D levels up. And even in the winter time, you can still be getting sun into your body. Just exposing your skin to early morning sun is really the safest way to do it. And about 10 to 30 minutes a day or more. You'll see as I speak further on about the postpartum period, really getting outside in general and getting into nature is great for stress reduction as well. So this is just an overview of different ways you can get vitamin D in, but really sunlight is going to be your top resource there. So next, I'm going to be talking about folate. So folate or folic acid, vitamin B9, as it's sometimes referred to, is an essential nutrient. And this really increases during pregnancy because it's really necessary, of course, for the growth and development of the fetus and of the baby and of the uterus itself. So folate deficiency has been associated with abnormalities, in the mother as well as the fetus. So in the mother, having proper folate levels can really help with things like anemia and peripheral neuropathy. And in the fetus, it can really prevent things like congenital abnormalities as well as neural tube defects. So it's very important that we're getting enough folate into our diet. And again, I love to use whole food sources, but if you are someone that is deficient and you know that you're deficient, you might choose to use a prenatal vitamin, and that is perfectly fine as long as you are hitting those nutritional needs for each of these nutrients. Is what is critical just to the growth and development and health of yourself or as a woman giving birth. Some sources of folate are going to be eggs, dark leafy greens, our beans, our legumes, specifically black-eyed peas are very high in folate. And again, rice is a great one, and cruciferous vegetables, liver and organ meats, and avocado. So there are so many nutrients I could really dive into as far as needs for this prenatal and postpartum time. But as I said, getting enough food in general is really what is important. And if you are varying your diet between meal to meal and snacks, you will eventually get the RDA for these if you are eating enough. And again, you may need to use a prenatal supplement, and that is perfectly fine, but always discuss that with your healthcare provider so you could choose the correct one to support your specific nutrient needs. Magnesium is another one I wanted to point out specifically. Magnesium is very much involved also in our stress response. So when we are more stressed, so of course, pregnancy brings on tons of stress as well as the postpartum period. So just being mindful of our magnesium intake is really critical during this period of time. And magnesium is actually just one of many electrolytes. So this kind of plays into that whole making sure we are very well hydrated, both in the prenatal, postpartum time, and just in general. So thinking about, ways to add electrolytes back into your beverages. They sell lots of electrolyte packets. You can make your own, adding some high quality sea salt, some honey, some lemon. But then again, you can also be drinking mineral rich fluids like bone broth, milks, and juices. So those are just some considerations for you to get proper hydration. Make sure your magnesium as well as your calcium, another electrolyte, is at its appropriate levels. So calcium in particular, we also need vitamin D for the absorption of calcium. So being mindful of our vitamin D levels. So if you're someone that moves with low vitamin D levels, you may want to consider a vitamin D supplement. But again, checking in with your doctor, because that can then affect your calcium levels. Iron is another one that we really need to be mindful of during this period of time, because there is a lot of just trauma physically happening to the body during the birthing process. We lose blood, things are happening. We need our cells to be able to repair appropriately. So iron is one of those critical nutrients needed to replenish our red blood cells specifically. So eating iron-rich foods along with vitamin C-rich foods is a really cool little trick that I've picked up over the years, and I've learned that could really help with the bioavailability of iron in those foods. So think about eating some citrus food next time you have chicken, or adding, some lemon on top of your fish. That could just be a great way to make the iron more bioavailable in those foods. And zinc, of course, is another one that I love for immune system health, as well as overall cellular health. So just being mindful that we are keeping our zinc stores up. Sometimes, little signs that our zinc might be low is that if our taste is starting to decrease, we can't taste things as well as we used to. That could be a sign that you're low in zinc. So speak to your healthcare provider and start to integrate some of these whole food zinc options, and find out different ways to support yourself during this time. So I wanted to talk about some herbal supports that we could use during the prenatal and postpartum care. So again, I can't stress this enough. It's really going to depend on your personal journey, on what your body is going to actually need. I also wanted to stress that in general, herbs that are used during pregnancy and the postpartum time of life are really going to be thought about as more as functional foods. They are going to have medicinal properties to them, but again, they are really going to be these therapeutic food items that just also possess some small amounts of those therapeutic qualities as well, that's going to support some symptoms that I'll go into. So some of the herbal actions that I really like to lean on during this time of life are going to be our galactagogues. So galactagogues are herbs that are really going to support a mother's milk supply. Many cultures actually make crackers from fennel and anise seeds and just really create this little snack for mothers to snack on during the postpartum period to help with milk supply. So it's no wonder that these herbs have been, deemed as being so supportive for a postpartum mother. So as I said, fennel is a great one. Hops can also be relaxing. So if you're someone that needs help with your sleep support, that could be a great option. Milk thistle, not only is it great for helping with milk supply, but it's also great for the liver. And we also have things like garlic, alfalfa, ginger. So these are really just highly nutritive foods and functional foods that can be integrated to just support this time when we do have a lot of stress going on. It can affect our milk supply, and if we do need that extra support. Next, I'd love to highlight nutritives. As I just said, really the nutrition of the herbs, that nutrient-dense botanicals are going to help replenish the body, replenish our vitamins and minerals. And these can really be considered those medicinal foods. So things like milky oats, which also is like oatmeal. You can think of oatmeal as another very medicinal food during this time of life. Easy to digest, a great carrier for adding other herbs to it as well. Marshmallow is great for healing the gut. It's also known as a demulcent herb, which is an herb that provides kind of this mucilaginous quality to it that really helps heal things like the gut and other tissue that it comes in contact with. Again, garlic, so high in so many antioxidants, so functional in so many different ways. So getting garlic into your diet can be a great functional support. Nettle is another one that if you are unfamiliar with, it almost grows like a weed, wild out here in Oregon specifically. I love nettles myself. Yeah, I see a shout out there for nettles in the chat box. Nettles are great. They could be used as a replacement for spinach. They're a great dark leafy green. They have tons of minerals and vitamins. Sea moss and seaweeds, as I said, great for iodine and thyroid health. And red clover, another one that's commonly seen all over the place as a cover crop for a lot of farms, but also just as a common weed that probably grows right in your backyard. So I'd like to highlight two more categories of herbs. So we have our relaxant nervines. So our relaxant nervines are going to be those herbs that are going to really just help support our new mothers in this period of stress, or if you are pregnant, this period of time where, of course, there's a lot of changes happening in our body. It could be stressful. Our sleep is affected. All of these things that we need to have the energy to give birth and to take care of our newborns. So these herbs not only help in the physiological, but they also help in the psychological tension in our mind and our body. So think of things like chamomile, passion flower, skullcap, lavender. Lavender is a great one to even just put under your pillow. If you're someone who doesn't love the flavor of it, put it under your pillow, take baths with lavender. Milky oats again, and as well as lemon balm. And lemon balm itself has a lot of research around its mood boosting properties as well. So if you're someone that's moving with a little bit of melancholy in that postpartum time, lemon balm could be a great support for you as well. Another one is going to be our vulnerary herbs. So a vulnerary herb are those that are going to help support the healing process, both internally and externally. So these herbs can be used, and many are used in hospital settings and in clinical settings like witch hazel to help stop bleeding, to astringe the tissue, to help with inflammation. But other things like calendula and marshmallow and aloe are great supports also during this time to help heal internally the trauma and the physical changes that may have happened during the birthing process. So those can be very supportive for a new mother, whether you're using them internally or externally. So of course we have our baby bloomer set available for all new mothers, and this really encompasses a lot of what I was saying as far as the functional foods, putting those forward, and really the gentle use of herbals that are super nutritive and they're going to give the body the vitamins and the minerals it needs to support these huge changes that are happening during the pregnancy, prenatal, and postpartum times. So first we have Meet My Womate. So this one's going to have dandelion root, cinnamon, and that nutmeg. This is a great coffee alternative. It has that nice, deep, rich flavor without having that caffeine. And again, it's going to be very functional. Cinnamon and nutmeg are great for our blood sugar levels. This also has the dandelion root to help optimize digestion and support our liver health and detoxification during this time. So that's a great one if you're someone that usually leans on caffeine or leans on coffee, I should say, just to get that flavor profile into your everyday. So Milky Way is going to be our highly nutritive blend. It's going to have moringa, nettle, and astragalus. So nettles, as I spoke to before, a dark leafy green, going to provide all those beautiful minerals, iron rich, calcium, magnesium, manganese, all of that. Moringa is actually going to provide a bit of protein. It has a lot of amino acids in there, very diversified in its nutrient profile. So that is a great one to integrate into your diet. Think of it as a green pill every day, kind of like get your greens in. This would be a great blend for that. And then the astragalus is going to be there to support our immune system health, making sure that we are staying healthy during this time, that we're able to fight off any of those little colds that may come our way so that we can really have a healthy prenatal and postpartum period. And then lastly, I Beg Your Postpartum is going to be our rebuilding, our blood building and highly nutritive to our circulatory system blend. This one is going to be cardioprotective. It's going to have those herbs in there like beets. Again, a functional food, but also an herb. It's going to be highly nutritive for our blood supply. Jujube date has been used in traditional Chinese medicine for really thousands of years to help relax the body, but also provide tons of nutrition as well, iron and minerals and vitamins. So this is another great blend to integrate into your daily routine. This one tastes really great with tart cherry juice, which could also be supportive for melatonin levels. And you can sip on that before bed if you're someone that needs a little help during that postpartum period, you know, getting to bed, winding down at the end of the day. This could be a great blend to try out. So some other considerations that I just wanted to throw in there during this time of life, just because there is so many changes going on in your body as well as the baby, its growth and development. So just thinking about actively, you know, reducing our toxic load, thinking about the organic foods if we can, really highlighting, you know, the dirty dozen. I'm sure you guys have seen those charts going around, but really sticking to, at the very minimum, buying those foods organic on the dirty dozen list, making sure that, you know, purchasing those is at a higher priority. Avoiding plastics, non-stick, Teflon coated products. Of course, we have a lot of research coming out about those, just how unhealthy and carcinogenic those can be. Limiting our xenoestrogen exposure. So this is really tying into our hormonal health. So during this time of life, so many hormonal changes are happening at once. So we really want to be mindful of not disrupting that process and allowing our body to come back into balance in a mindful way. So thinking about things like fragrances, artificial fragrances, especially candles, those are a big one that a lot of people don't think about, but they can be highly carcinogenic. So just thinking about choosing more natural options for those items. Again, managing our stress. So as I said before, staying hydrated with electrolytes. Electrolytes are really key to hydration. So I always tell people, do not be afraid of salt. Salt is your friend. You really need salt to be able to be hydrated effectively and to stay hydrated. So a lot of people think if you just drink more water, you're just going to have to keep going to the bathroom more. But if you have enough salt in your diet and in your body, you actually, that process won't be happening as frequently. Your body will be holding on to that water just more efficiently. So drinking mineral-rich liquids like milks and juices, or as I said, adding your minerals and electrolytes back into your water or drink of choice using, you know, LMNT packets. They make those Quinton, electrolyte packs. There's a lot of options out there, but I would just make sure that they are the cleanest, most simple ingredients as possible, because you don't want any added artificial sugars, dyes, all of those. Increasing your whole food vitamin C intake is another great way to manage your stress levels. You know, if you don't have time to meditate every day, you don't have time to journal every day, you have a newborn, you're pregnant, there's a lot going on. So just increasing your vitamin C can be that extra level of antioxidant protection that can really support our bodies during this super stressful time. Topical magnesium lotions and sprays, great options for getting your magnesium in without having to take another pill. Our bodies actually absorb that magnesium very well and use it very efficiently. So you can also take a bath in magnesium salts as well. And then using an aromatherapy diffuser, just kind of a passive way to, in your house, have beautiful scent of lavender, one of our relaxant nervines, kind of in the background of your house going, could just be a great way to help just manage those stress levels so you can have just a more manageable pregnancy and postpartum time. And then lastly, one of the other considerations that I just think is so unique and is really not talked about a lot anymore is actually the postpartum confinement period. So a lot of cultures around the world actually observe these days, specifically in traditional Chinese medicine, the first 30 days of the postpartum period, it's really referred to as that golden period, when a mother kind of receives this blank slate of health, and it's an opportunity for the mother to actually heal and really replenish her body and give her body what it needs, and also nurture that new connection that she now has with her new family member. So some kind of key things to take from this confinement period really is keeping the body warm. So that, again, this is not a new concept, and traditional Chinese medicine is very well highlighted multiple times about keeping the body in balance between hot, which is our yang energy, and cold, which is our yin energies, because it's said to be vital for good health and to also help the mother to recover quicker from the birthing process, which could be a very depleting process. And it's actually considered a cold process. And the mother just feels warm afterward and has those hot flashes because of the hormonal imbalances going on in the body, but not actually that the birthing process is a hot process. So being that it is a colder process, we want to be nourishing the body with as much warmth as we can in as many ways as we can. So again, as I said, during the first few weeks of postpartum, the mother may feel hot due to that just adrenaline that's really present. And it really creates kind of that false heat sensation. So trying things like avoiding walking barefoot, replenish those electrolytes, making sure that you're hydrated, take warm baths, massage your body with warm oils, eating highly nutritive and easy to digest foods like soups and broths, specifically bone broths and seaweed soups that are very nutrient dense. You can also add back in nutrients if you are someone that isn't getting a lot of food into your daily diet. You can always add in collagen or gelatin powders into your soups and stews to increase the nutrient density of those items. Because during this time, as I said, it's so important to be replenishing our body with easy to digest nutrients. And then spending time outside in the sun, a very easy way to warm the entire body. And prioritizing rest. It is emphasized over and over again during this confinement period that we should be resting, having that support there from our spouse or just a limited kind of visitors, keeping that bubble very small, and really just prioritizing replenishing the body, relaxing, resting, and getting back to where you feel good and where you can be ready to take care of your new family. So let's review. So again, I can't stress it enough. Everybody is unique during both the prenatal and postpartum times, and your nutrition needs are also going to be very, very individualized. So checking in with your healthcare team is going to be the best option to see where you are at and where you may need to be supplementing. So you can definitely utilize this presentation as a tool to go back and kind of see where those foods in those groups and which ones offer those nutrient dense value. But first, we want to, of course, make sure that we're supplementing properly. So talking to our healthcare provider, understanding our lab work, if we need to get lab work done, those are great places to start. Eating enough each day, as I said, is top priority. Prioritizing proteins, high quality proteins, whole foods when we can, healthy fats, coconut, olive oil, avocado oil. Those are going to be really great for our breast milk supply, as well as just supporting a growing fetus. So some key nutrients to focus on are going to be our choline, folate, and vitamin D. But again, iron, magnesium, calcium, all of these things are critical as well during this period of time. So making sure you check in with your provider about what your body needs is going to be essential. So utilizing your herbs and functional foods to support your entire journey is going to be a great way to, again, just provide another therapeutic layer to this process of life. Again, the herbs that are used during this time are mostly going to be our gentle nutritives. We really don't want to be egging the body on with anything crazy. So just utilizing our nutrient dense blends like those that I highlighted previously are really the way to go as far as supplementing some of our key nutrients and also supporting some things like healing inside the body or relaxant nervines for our nervous system. So to help with our stress levels. So all of those things. And then our other considerations, of course, prioritizing rest, managing our stress levels, eating our well-prepared meals, fermented foods, get your probiotics in, eat your rainbow, get your high quality protein is really, really, really critical. And consider keeping the body warm. Consider, wearing your socks, keeping your body in some warm clothing, wearing a hot water bottle when you can over your womb, or a warm oil massage. Those things can be highly supportive during the prenatal and postpartum time. Awesome. So I'd love to open it up to some questions and comments that you guys have about today's presentation, or about any other herbs, or about the baby bloomer set that I presented on. Yeah, so let's turn it over to you guys. So let's see. Could you provide information on how to prepare our bodies for pregnancy? So yeah, so kind of that goes into what I presented here. So this person is asking about more information about how to prepare our bodies for pregnancy. So kind of what I highlighted here, nutrient dense foods is going to be top priority. Eating enough, making sure that our bodies have what it needs to be able to have a child, to develop that fetus appropriately, to be able to go through the birthing process, and then hopefully to be able to breastfeed and support that baby afterward with enough energy and enough vitality, so that you can feel good and confident in your pregnancy. So really working with your healthcare provider as a step one of just making sure that you're meeting your key nutrients. Working with a nutritionist like myself, I'd love to work with you, and we can kind of see from your daily nutrient intake. We do a dietary analysis as well as an herbal consultation in my one-on-one sessions. So we can kind of optimize your diet. But of course, you want to work with your OBGYN if you have any specific medical needs that might require some additional nutrients or additional just therapeutic kind of thinking around them. But that's a great question. Focusing on nutrition during the prenatal time is really going to kind of overlap everything as far as getting our bodies ready for pregnancy. Awesome. So let's see, do we have any other questions here before I give you guys our discount code? Thank you, Michaela. So Michaela actually popped in our chat there a link to our blog about our pregnancy safe herbs, as well as where you can find the baby bloomer set. There's a lot of great information there for you guys to check out. Awesome. Well, if there are no more questions, I would love to also just let you know if you did have any other questions we didn't get to, or they just come up after this class is finished, you can always email us at hi@apothecary.co, and we'll get to your question as soon as possible. So, and as always, thank you guys so much for coming. And I wanted to give you a discount code just to thank you again. So for today's discount code, it's going to be OBABY15, all capital letters, and I'll have Michaela pop that in the chat for us so you guys can write that down. It'll be OOHBABY15. And as always, make sure you check your Instagram, subscribe to our Facebook page, subscribe to our email so you guys can stay in the loop about future classes that are coming up, and future live classes that we'll be having. And I'd love to see all of you guys there. And thank you guys again so much for joining us.